Justin Herbert, I think another big storyline for them is he's been dealing with this rib injury. He took quite the hit against Kansas City in that Thursday night game, winced a few times in that game against the Jaguars as he was taking hits. Positive news, practice in full today. Rib injuries tend to be a pain management type of injury. To this point, I think Justin Herbert's a tough dude. Keenan Allen gone. Austin Eckler hasn't been that productive of a running back. In fact, they have no running game whatsoever. Offensive line is still working in progress. And Mike Williams is a solid receiver. I just don't think he's a great wide receiver. So they have a lot of questions. They got a lot of bad things going on with them going into this game. And the Houston Texans may surprise you, but they're only allowing 13.1 fantasy points a game to opposing fantasy quarterbacks. So Justin Herbert, what's the concern level? Are you starting him? Is he a must start this week against the Houston Texans? Or where do you think he kind of lands?
I mean, he hasn't been overly spectacular so far this season in reality. And now dealing with those rib injuries, like you said, taking those hits now to the ribs is going to hurt a lot unless, he gets those painkiller shots or whatever that helps deal with that a little bit. But let's hope not because, we remember what happened with Tyrod Taylor in the Chargers camp when he took those shots and it didn't end too well.
Had to go with the cheap joke. I respect it, but had to slip in that little bump against him. Well, last week, so his first real week playing with the injury, he's only completing 55% of his passes. So he wasn't that accurate. And I think one of the big things notable is Justin Herbert has a hell of a deep ball. That's one of his biggest strengths as a passer. And I think dealing with this injury, that kind of got taken away from him as he wasn't able to just kind of chuck it downfield. Now, you have guys like DeAndre Carter there and Jordan Palmer, who every now and then they could get open for you. But I don't think that they're not necessarily going to have that same type of success against this Houston Texans defense. Stingley, the rookie, is a very talented corner, and I think that he's going to shadow Mike Williams and take that away. Keenan Allen's not there, losing a guy that just can get open for you in the middle of the field, and I think that that's going to be one of the biggest hits to Justin Herbert's fantasy day. In terms of rankings, I would say he's a low-end quarterback one. I just don't think that I would elevate him into the top 5 this week, dealing with the injuries at his wide receiver position, and dealing with a surprisingly tough Houston Texans defense. And I also say they're tough. I will add the caveat that they had to play Justin Fields and Russell Wilson through the first 3 weeks, so they haven't faced necessarily the toughest competition either. So there is that.
Yeah, no, they really haven't faced the most difficult of competitions either. But, 13 point against quarterback, it's not something to bat at either. It tells you they are doing something a little bit because normally this team would get decimated week in and week out. And, they've been in games all season. So it's not like they're playing actually really bad either. They're playing pretty well on that defensive side of the ball. So I think they're going to go after Justin Herbert quite a bit, especially with the likes of Keenan Allen being out and them saying, hey, look, without Keenan Allen and, if you can lock up Mike Williams, this offense really isn't something spectacular, especially with Austin Eckler having a slow start to the season. So I think they're going to utilize this to their advantage and, trying to slow down Herbert and Eckler as much as possible because in reality, if you could just lock up Mike Williams, that offense is going to struggle to get downfield.
Now, the unfortunate truth is if you drafted Justin Herbert, you probably don't have a backup option that's really worth playing. But it's at least nice to dream. Maybe you do. Maybe you do have a backup question that you've been kind of thinking about. Let us know. Maybe you're weighing that decision. We'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Drop below that in the comments section. Leave a like on the video. Follow us on social media at Ju-Ju Talk Sports. That's my social media link. You can find all of Andrew Hagenbaugh's social medias in the bio. Our boy, Andrew Hohman, I'll give him a shout out too. A lot of good, entertaining fantasy advice that we have sprinkled across our channel. And that's why we encourage you to hit that subscribe button because we're here to help you win your fantasy football leagues, bust the slump. I'm here to wish you a safe, happy, and healthy day. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you on the next one.